Now, happy to welcome to the show Chloe Watkins. She has been an Irish hockey international for the last 10 years, made her debut aged 18 back in 2010, silver medalist, of course, at the World Cup in 2018, meant to be at the Olympics this year. Tokyo beckoned. Alas, that has been postponed. She is also an FBD brand ambassador. They are a principal partner to Team Ireland. Chloe, thanks for your time. How's things?
Thanks for having me on. Things are a little strange, I'm not going to lie, but adapting quite well at the moment. And we were recently just back on the pitch this week, so it was really nice to get back out there.
I guess postponed is a lot better than the Olympics being cancelled, for starters.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a very real fear back in March when things were kicking off. So once the postponement was announced, there was a bit of relief. It was mixed emotions, but definitely relief. And we're now just planning towards next summer. We can just be optimistic about it, I suppose, and take it 1 month at a time. But all going well, hopefully now we'll see a 2021 Olympics.
How does the rest of the year look like to you, or for you and for the team?
So we've just got back to regional sessions this week, and we'll be training regionally up until sort of the end of August. We've just been remote training up until now, doing running, home gym, that kind of thing. So it's our first pitch session back since mid-March, really. So the longest, probably the longest period I've ever had off since I've started playing hockey, which is a bit odd. And then hopefully a national camp towards the end of August. I'm back into full sort of national camp training in September up to the end of the year.
And do you play with the club side? Like, do all the players across the country play club hockey to keep themselves taken over, or are you almost centralised and just, regional training amongst yourselves in the main?
So we do play club hockey, but we're recently, obviously, because of various sponsors, we've been into centralised training. So we've been training 3 or 4 days a week together in Sport Ireland campus. And then you'd be released to a club for 1 night a week for a session and then the match on a Saturday. So there's a bit of a balance there, but obviously when we're away and that kind of thing, we have recovery periods and we have international matches which take precedent.
Yeah, okay. So the last couple of months has been Zoom meetings and lots of running and lots of fitness work. So basically it has been the miserable stuff.
Yeah, definitely sick of it at this point. It was nice to see the girls last night and do a bit of hockey. But yeah, I'm kind of sick of running on a GA pitch at this stage by myself. So, I'm welcoming the team sessions.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's very hard to push yourself when you're on your own.
It is. And I suppose over the years, when we haven't had the contact time that we've had due to sponsors and various things coming on board, we've kind of been used to having to get out there and do runs ourselves. So it's not too foreign for our team and for the girls. But when you're used to seeing them every day, it's just a bit strange to not see them and that kind of thing.
So you mentioned there it's probably the longest stint away from the game that you've had since you were a teenager. Does that make you realise that you absolutely love it and you're bored silly without it? Or maybe do you realise all this extra time to do all these other extra things is maybe of benefit as well? What was it like? It's probably a strange, 10 years into your international career, a strange kind of thing to happen.
Yeah, to be honest, it's probably since I was 7 or 8, since I actually started playing hockey. It's the longest period. So it's really strange. But it's funny because you do appreciate some downtime. And when you're in the thick of training, you're always like, God, I'd love a night off and I'd love to be able to go to this and that. And I suppose we've had that time, albeit it's not been normal life, but it's been more time to spend with friends and family, which has been great. But I think we're probably built differently and we do complain about it, but we probably love it as well. So I'm definitely raring to go and to get back into things, especially in March, we were at such a crucial stage in our training. It was really kicking off and we were getting close to Tokyo. So it would be nice to get back into things and build back up to that point.
How did you spend lockdown?
Well, I got a puppy, so that kept me distracted, which was the best decision I've ever made.
What kind of puppy?
But it was a rescue, so she was a Jack Russell cross. We're not quite sure what she's crossed with yet, but...
Okay.
she's been very entertaining and a great distraction for everybody. So she's definitely kept the peace in my household.
So that, I mean, it's a classic way of solving the whole problem. Let's just get ourselves a puppy.
Yeah, I can't recommend it anymore. It's an emotional support dog. That's what
Yeah.
I've been calling her. But oh, she's kept everybody on their toes. If anybody's, getting a bit touchy, just give the dog, give the puppy, get a bit of affection and a bit of love. So it's been great.
What about work then? I think I read you're a trainee accountant. Has that been full on, or did it go into a hibernation of sorts?
Yeah, I'm training with Mazars, so I had taken a period of leave from January to focus on full-time training up to the Olympics. And once the postponement happened, we spoke, and I rejoined sort of at the beginning of April. And it was great, to be honest, to have that, to kind of get a routine, keep my routine, and have something else to focus on. So they couldn't have been more understanding and helpful. So that was really great to have over the last while.
I won't ask you about the FAI unless you want to spill the beans.
Yeah, it's not my department. I've been asked.
Yeah.
I've been asked already, and I've no clue. So I'm no help.
I know. Every night out for the next however many years of your life, as soon as you mention Mazars, that's the question coming your way.
I know. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got this extra year now, and this has been a 10-year journey with the Irish team, and much longer, as you point out, with hockey. So I guess another year waiting, if it all happens next year, is still going to be an amazing thing. This Irish team has really captured the imagination. Missed the Olympics in 2015 in a shootout, and then literally have millions watching when they reach a World Cup final in 2018. You're currently ranked 8th in the world. What changed? Because 2015 missing out in the Olympics to 2018 World Cup finalists is not an automatic journey.
No, it certainly isn't. And it was many years in the making to get that silver medal. But I suppose you have to learn the harsh lessons, and we definitely did with the Rio qualification. Missing out on that, and it was the narrowest of margins really in a shootout. So missing out on that kind of grounded everybody, and we learned a lot from that, which we brought with us into our World Cup qualification and into our Tokyo qualification. So I suppose that mixed with some great coaches and some new young energy that has come into the squad since then as well, all added to it. And I think we were just able to kind of push standards, really put the commitment in, and realize that it wasn't just, you can work hard, but it's not just going to happen, that we had to really tick all the boxes. And we did that this time around, thankfully.
And then for all that extra work, it can often still just come down to as you said, the slimmest of margins. In Ireland's case, penalty shootouts have been a big feature of success or failure. Missing out on the Olympics. In the World Cup, I think you scored in 2 penalty shootouts. And then in Donnybrook, to make these Olympic Games, there was the penalty shootout. So you stepped up again, and there's a lot riding on it, to say the least. I'm sure you try and block all that out of your mind. Just the technique of a penalty shoot in hockey, like there's a lot more going on than, for instance, a football penalty shootout, which we're all pretty familiar with. Does the goalkeeper or does the penalty taker tend to dictate the terms of a penalty?
I suppose with the nature of it, it brings the keeper into it a lot more. It used to just previously be a stroke from the penalty spot, which just gave the attacker basically the advantage.
Yeah.
But now it really brings into action your keeper and the skills she has. So it's much more 50-50. And
when did that change happen? Sorry, Chloe.
It was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Okay, so like during your playing career, the change happened, so you had to adjust.
Yeah, it was sort of in the recent past, a couple of years ago. So it's been a challenge, but it's been great. I mean, we have a great keeper, so it's kind of worked to our advantage. But it's a difficult thing, and I'm sick of the sight of them. So I hope we don't have to see them again now in the Olympics.
Was it easier to score with just a stroke?
For the attacker, yeah, it was. I mean, a stroke, it's just a flick. You're not allowed to hit it. It's one step. So it is a different technique, but a 1v1, things can go wrong a lot more than a stroke.
Yeah. So presumably the goalkeeper can try and catch you by surprise, or equally you can try and take the shot early, or you can try all manner of things. Suddenly there are tons of options, and maybe that's not always a good thing when you're under massive pressure, because say for instance your World Cup penalties or your Donnybrook penalty, if that is the football equivalent, you're just told decide what you're going to do and just do it, whereas you're in a far more reactive situation. For instance, the Donnybrook one, that didn't look very comfortable for a lot of that. You know, the keeper's in your face and you're kind of have your back to goal. It's at a certain point. So it's not like it necessarily is going to go to plan all that often, I would think.
No, you're right. The Donnybrook one was definitely not what I had planned. But that's the beauty of them. I think, the Canadian keeper had done her homework on us and had scouted us and knew, I mean, she had plenty of footage from the World Cup, but she knew that I probably was likely to try and spin on my open side and try and get an open side shot away. So she did really well to stop me doing that, and she really blocked that side. So I had to kind of react to that. But those things can kind of happen, and it's practicing, and it's trying to just remain focused on what you're, at the end of the day, if you've got the ball under control, if you're protecting it from the keeper, you just need to change direction really quickly and try and finish it within the 8 seconds.
And do you have 2 or 3 different go-to penalty approaches, or does it not work like that? There's no point. You're better off just, if you prefer the open side shot, I'm going to stick with the open side, and then if that doesn't come off, I'll just have to react. Or might you take a totally different approach next day out?
I tend to have a few notes that as in like key things that I try and do. It's not too strict on the type of shot I'll go for, but it's like trying to just protect the ball from the keeper. It's trying to keep it in a place that I can move quickly and have it under control, and then just to change direction quickly. So they're the kind of points that I like to focus on, and then from there, I like to think I can beat the keeper.
That evening in Donnybrook was incredible. Not least the crowd, the atmosphere. It was on TV. I mean, because there was a time where it didn't seem like Ireland was even capable of hosting these matches.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of surreal to think back at that night, because we never would have imagined having an Olympic qualifier in Dublin, let alone in a rugby stadium full of 6,000 odd fans. So it was amazing. Obviously, the weather threw everything it had at us as well, which was less than ideal. But it was a fantastic event, and all the volunteers and everybody involved in getting it organised was just phenomenal. Like, it was a huge effort.
Yeah, and it makes you think, God, it was madness we weren't doing this before. Really.
Yeah.
That was my overriding thought that night. Why were these not happening all the time? But I guess that's water under the bridge.
You'd love to see it happen again, I suppose, as well. Something, and obviously not qualifiers, but games.
And are they on the horizon? I mean, a COVID pandemic situation aside, because the other memory of 2018 is you guys being shepherded into a room and Shane Ross announcing however many million and everything is going to be great. And I was curious to see what the follow-up would be. So can we expect Ireland games to be held and the right facilities for the team going forward? Has that been followed through?
Well, we did get a pitch out in Sport Ireland on the campus, and it's a really nice turf. Whether it can host events, I don't think so. There's no capacity for seating, but I suppose baby steps, and right now training and that kind of thing, having a pitch for us was the main thing. So that's definitely been followed through, but hosting events isn't something that we have a facility for, I would say.
I mean, there's baby steps, and then there's just not moving forward at all. I mean, really, there must be frustration amongst the team on that front.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but then at the same time, you can waste a lot of energy on things like that as well. You have to pick and choose your battles, I suppose, and the time you have, like our time frame from qualifiers to Tokyo happening was a matter of months, so we can just put the head down and try and train away. It's probably a fight for maybe the governing body and that kind of thing to try and get involved in and put in place just for the long term. Looking at the program long term and the youth that are coming through, it would be great to have that kind of facility to really grow the game. Because I think Donnybrook was a tester, and it came up trumps. We had a full packed out stadium for 2 nights in a row, so why not?
Yeah.
The demand is there.
No, 100%. So you've a new manager, obviously. Sean Dancer is in now. Has he dramatically changed your tactical approach, how the team is going about their business, or is it a pretty similar approach to what we saw in 2018 and Donnybrook?
He has changed our approach, I suppose. He's a attacking style. He loves an attacking style of play. He's an Aussie, and he coached in New Zealand for many years. So it's a very Oceania's a very attacking style, go forward, lots of running, not much time for going backwards, that kind of thing. And I suppose traditionally we'd be quite a defensive team, and something we pride ourselves on is our defence. It's won us games in the past, and certainly at the World Cup it did.
Yeah.
So it has been a different approach and a big change, which I suppose, another 12 months of training with it is a good thing. It was quite hard for him to come in and implement a lot of changes for the qualifier. He was only in a few months, so maybe he'll get a better run at it now, and it'll be great to get a few more months training under it.
Different skill sets required for you guys then to play a more attacking game?
Different mindset, I suppose. Different skill sets. Yeah. Things tend to happen a lot faster. Obviously, you're going to be hopefully creating more attacking opportunities, so you need to be sharper up front and in the circle to capitalise on those. So it is, I suppose, a different mindset and a different skills involved. But as I said, the defence sets up your attack, and our platform at the back has always done that. So we can't lose sight of that either, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned the point about Oceania being quite an attacking style, because I did want to ask you about the different brands of hockey. I had a look on the rankings. As I mentioned, the Irish women 8th in the world. In terms of countries doing well in both the men's and the women's, Netherlands are there, Germany are there, Australia in both. So Australia then attacking. What kind of other brands are there? You mentioned Ireland pretty defensive. Is there like possession-based hockey? Are there teams who just go long ball? Give us a sense of kind of what the top teams are doing at the moment in hockey.
Yeah, there are loads of different styles. I mean, say India, who we played in the World Cup and will play again, they're very crash ball orientated. They'd be very direct, cracking the ball, really smashing it through you. Then you've got Germany, who are quite traditional. They're quite structured, obviously, as German teams tend to be in any sport, quite tactical, and good basic skills. And then, you've got sort of Holland, who just play a brand of hockey that everybody, I suppose, tries to play. It's give and go. It's on the move. Right. It's very free flowing hockey, which is the dream, but you just have to be very technically sound, and decision making has to be really good. So it's harder than it sounds.
No, I can fully appreciate that. And India smashing the ball everywhere. That sounds like fun for your shins, and just a bit manic. So that's the two ends. That introduces an element of kind of wildness to the thing, I would suspect.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it was funny because at the World Cup we played USA in the first game, who are just a really physical team and just run and press. So, and technically aren't that strong. And then we played India, who are technically very strong but not that physical. So it was really contrasting styles that we were coming up against, and implementing different tactics and stuff. And then Spain are incredibly skillful, one-on-one flair, that kind of thing. Quick hockey. So there were lots of different styles of play to get experience against as well.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Have we been traditionally, so at the defensive point I take, would we be regarded as traditionally a skillful country?
Skillful, possibly not. I would say we're a hard team. We've always been traditionally hard teams to play against. Just in the fact that we won't give an inch to anybody we're playing against, and they can expect a fight when they come into it. So, um, you know, we are a very skilled team now. We've worked on it hugely over the last number of years, on the technical side of things, and that's really shown since the World Cup, at the World Cup, and since then, our defence, there's a lot of technique in defending, picking tackles and that kind of thing, and just distributing the ball. So that was a huge element that got us results over there, and we had some of the best defenders at the World Cup. As well. So it's we've had a good mix, and we've certainly improved over the last few years. So I think we can definitely put our names in that hat now.
It's funny, you talk about the Netherlands there, give and go and really technical. You talk about the Germans, organised. You talk about the Spanish, really skillful. And then you talk about the Irish, really tough to beat, probably great attitude, defensive. You could almost be talking about any sports there. I don't know what cultural, sociological issues are at play, but it kind of chimes with a lot of Irish teams. Yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? It's it's probably the same with all the other nations. You can see that kind of style across. I don't know if it's a mindset or it's just the way we're programmed and we're wired. So that's why we've probably put more emphasis on the technical side of things, the physical side of things, to try and close the gap in those areas. To try and chase the likes of the Netherlands, who are playing the game the way it should be.
Well, look, things are on the right track, and hopefully another year allows a few other changes to bed down. Chloe, thanks so much for the time. Much appreciated. Enjoy the next couple of months, and hopefully next year is the year we're all hoping for. Thanks a mil.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. That's Chloe Watkins there, who is, as well as being Irish Hockey International, an FBD brand ambassador. FBD, Ireland's only homegrown insurer, and has been a principal partner to Team Ireland since September 2018, providing support to Team Ireland's hopefuls in the same way it's been providing support to more than 500,000 policyholders for over 50 years. Back in a sec.